You gotta talk about what's relatable to people. That's the only way they're gonna engage with what you're putting out there.
Nobody wants to be pitched at every turn. If every time you see me, I'm trying to sell you something, you're gonna be like, fucking Mike is so annoying.
Only about 10% of your content's gonna be seen.
We got Mike Stearns with Jordan Harrison of Pesto Media. It's a post-Thanksgiving episode of the Mission Control podcast, and it's sponsored by Roofer. And if you need end-to-end sales solution for your roofing company, things like quick instant measurements and beautiful, clean and pristine presentations that force your prospect to buy from you, hit up Roofer. Jordan, what's up?
Not my height, that's for sure.
I can relate.
That's the terrible joke I used to give kids when I teach. There to be every time. What's up, Mr. Harrison? That's what I'd get. Not my height, and I just go with the old dad joke.
But here's the thing, right? Let's pivot this into a conversation about marketing. Like, how great are things like dad jokes and ironic humor? I shot some content with Tim the other day, and we were talking about it. Like, what does that do for your brand?
Well, it does everything. Like that's it's funny. Okay, I was just editing videos, and I was talking about. You got to talk about symptoms. You got to talk about what's relatable to people. That's the only way they're going to engage with what you're putting out there. Marketing, your messaging has to be engaging to what your audience is listening to, right? If you talk about the big problems of what you're fixing, whatever you're doing in your business, they're not going to relate to it much as like, hey, you have a big water stain in your roof or in your ceiling. You obviously that's going to be coming from a leak from somewhere. So you're talking about something that's relatable. So here, when you're talking about dad jokes, and you're talking about crap that people deal on a daily basis, that's relatable, that's engaging, and that's what they're going to catch. And so that's why I tune into I like a lot of the Tim stuff and the memes because he's so relatable to the roofers. He does a great job with it, and then and I think that's what grabs their attention and brings them into the educational side. And to be honest with you, that's the things that I'm trying to get better at. Although I just love a good dad joke, man.
I mean, dad jokes are great. My daughter hates me when I hit her with the dad jokes, so she's less receptive. But she's not my target market, so whatevs. Yeah, and I also try to be relatable with, what the kids say these days. Things like, these sweet potatoes be bussin'. And that is equally not well received from the younger demographic when I try to be hip. So, whatever. It's an uphill battle, but I try. I try my best. How was your Thanksgiving, man?
It was good. We did in-law Thanksgiving first on Wednesday. So they came to our house. So our house was clean for the first time in a while. Had a great time, ate some Thanksgiving feast, and then we did Saturday is my side. So we'll go to my mom's house on Saturday, watch the we're in Alabama, so we're gonna be watching the Iron Bowl. And that's what we'll do on Saturday, watch the Iron Bowl, and I'll watch Auburn get beat. But it was good, man. How about yourself?
It was good, man. It was funny. We had 3 different stops to make. So we went to my sister's house and got to see my nieces and nephews and my aunt and my uncle. It's fantastic. And then we went to my wife's mother's house. And then we went to my wife's father's house. And, at my sister's and my wife's mother's house, here's the thing, man. If I eat a morsel of food and sit down on a couch, it's fucking lights out, right? I passed out for like an hour at my sister's house and then did the same thing at her mother's house. Weirdly enough, I couldn't get to sleep last night. So, but it was great. We got to see, family, friends, and hung out and ate good food, and it was really good. Yeah, a lot of fun. Do you drink Starbucks ever?
Buffalo Bills win. Okay,
we did get to see the Bills.
I'm a big coffee snob.
That was great.
Yeah, I'm a massive coffee snob, like big coffee snob. So I order my coffee from a coffee shop in Mobile, Alabama called Carpe Diem Coffee. And matter of fact, I just put my order in yesterday.
Seize the day.
And I get their Italian roast. Yes, it is. When I was in college down there, I spent a good chunk of my student loan money at that place. And I now spend a lot of my adult money at that place shipping coffee up there. So I ship it. I get Italian roast, and I grind it up myself. We have 2 espresso makers, although they're on their last leg, about to upgrade those. And we make our own espresso. So I don't like Starbucks, never really been a big fan. So we make our own espresso. We do steam milk, just a splash of steam milk. We froth it up. Froth goes in. I like to put agave in mine, just enough to pull the bitterness away. And it's based on like a Cuban style coffee that we learned how to make when we were in Key West, when I used to live in South Florida. So it is I love coffee. And notice what you can't see behind me. There's a big coffee bag there, and I literally, which is about to come up here in my studio, I got more coffee stuff coming up behind me soon that we just ordered. Got to get it fixed. But yeah, so I'm a big coffee snob, dude. Massive.
Yeah, I drink a lot of coffee. I mean, I wish that I had the level of commitment that you have to your coffee game in my life, because I mean, that sounds amazing. And like the Cuban coffee, I mean, that shit hits different. You know, when I was down in Tampa, we went to this spot down in Ybor and got some Cuban coffee, and I mean, yeah, that shit's wild. Yeah, I'm becoming more and more frustrated with Starbucks, if I'm being honest. You know, we had that snowstorm that everyone nationwide saw, and we're pretty well equipped for snow here in Buffalo, and you know, I use their app. I mean, having a mobile app to kind of circumnavigate the chaos and mayhem that can be a Starbucks store is fantastic, right? So, like, typically I wake up, I order my coffee while I'm still in bed, knowing it's going to take me a half hour, 45 to get there. And then I just kind of chuckle at all the people waiting around for their coffee, because I walk in, I grab my coffee, and I go, and I'm happy. What happened was I ordered through the app the other day, and I thought I was going to get to go laugh at people waiting around, and the joke was on me because the store was closed. So they got me for 2 Americanos. So Starbucks, if you're listening, you owe me like $9.75. Yeah, but that was a tough start to the day. It really was. It was frustrating. Yeah. And then my wife,
espresso maker.
Dude, I just pay for the convenience. You know, I don't know. It's probably not that hard to make the espresso, but you know, it's really nice that where it's like I've got my little routine, and I like the routine. I'll entertain it. So you send me a link for an espresso maker, and I will perhaps purchase said espresso maker and start making my own shit.
You a video.
And stop being so reliant on Starbucks. Fair enough.
I'll make you a video on how to do it. Yeah.
Problem-aware content, folks. So Mike's got a problem. He's got a lot of problems, but one of which is this need to get off of Starbucks, and Jordan's going to create some problem-aware content to help me get there. Let's talk about that through the vein of like a contractor, though. How important is problem-aware content? What does it do for their target audience? How can it help them? How do you make the juice worth the squeeze, Jordan?
Yeah, so let's squeeze some juices. So problem-aware content that's the initial how you're going to grab somebody's attention. And really you almost need a step before that. You need, I guess you can call it symptom-aware, because that's what you're talking about is the symptoms. So problem-aware content allows you, that's the first initial step in investing in the customer with your content and showing them how to solve their problem. Well, first off, make them aware of the problem, giving it a name to it. Hey, this could be your problem. And then before you move them into any type of solution or content, you're helping them and investing in them before you even ask for a sale, whatever it is. So it's your first initial offering, shaking of hands, building trust with an audience. And you put that shit out there, and you put a ton of it out there, and it is the first investment in showing them, hey, I actually care about the customer first, instead of all of your content being nothing but, hey, look, if you got a problem, if you need a new AC unit, need a new roof, give me a call. We'll put a new roof on for you. Yeah, but like, how do I know I need one? Like, I know mine's 20 years old, but can it last another 10 years? Can it last another 5? Like, how in the world do I know I need a new one? Nobody really knows unless there's like a big ass hole in your ceiling, or you got a massive drip coming through. But even then, it may just be a repair. So, problem or content is what is the first step in building trust and engaging your audience and let them know that, hey, these are things to look out for. Here is what they could possibly be. And here's what would happen if you don't fix those things, which is the last thing that most people don't talk about. Here's the timeline. Hey, look, you should get it fixed by X time. And then that way you don't, further consequences could happen, right? And so I think in the first part of problem or content, that's what you got to do. And you got to put a ton of it out. And that's when I do my own content. And when I do client content, that's the majority of what we put out, is simply just problem aware and being consistent. Because at the end of the day, like if you listen to like Joe Hughes a lot, only about 10% of your content's going to be seen. Maybe 10. So you have to continuously put it out there. So eventually that 10% is going to catch it and see it, that might need it. Or if they're doing the research and they're looking up on social media, and we're talking social media for a moment. We're not talking about content on, Google, because that, to me, I think that's two different things. It's not two different things, but like how people search for it is two different things. So as far as social media goes, like it's that first initial on video, building trust, showing people that, that, hey, these are issues that you could have. This is how you're going to, this is what you need to do to solve it, whatever, right? So anyway, I'm repeating myself, but the whole point is that's the first initial part of investing in the customer, and building that first initial trust. And if you can do it on video, which you should be doing it on video, that makes it even better.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So what should the tone of the video content be? Should it always be professional? Should there be some humor? Should it be relaxed? Like, is there a balance to that? Like, what's the art form to make sure that you're getting the most out of, let's say, 10% of people that are seeing your content? Like, we want to get the most out of that, right, if we're investing into it. So how do we do that?
So when I think of tone, I'm going to go with branding for a moment. Like, what are you as a person, who are you trying to attract? If you're just like, hey, we're a professional organization, that's how we present ourselves, then keep your content professional. We want to attract other people that are professional, and that is what we're looking for. So I think of tone as like, what is your brand, right? What are you okay with putting out there into the world? I see roofers all the time that put out content that's dropping F-bombs left and right, talking about how, badass they are or whatever, and that's fine. Like, if that's your brand, you want people to be attracted to that, then that should be your tone. And that's the people that are going to come attract you that don't care about that stuff, right? Which, I know you and Tim talked about the other day. If you cuss in your content, it just builds a level of trust with people. But anyways, so that's my opinion. What I see is it's based on what you want your branding to be with yourself. Me, I got the teacher in me from 15 years of being a teacher. So I tend to lay on the professional dad joke side. And I don't do, and that's how I am. I'm here to help. So my brand is going to be a slight dry humor, because that's me, and I want to attract people that are okay with that. And then just know that I put off the tone of I'm here to help. So like everything is helpful, everything is educational. So based on what your brand is, what you want people to trust you as, who do you want to attract, I think that is how you set your tone based on your content.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I think you really hit the nail on the head. And for me, for instance, right, like I want to work with people that are professional, that run their business like a business. But at the same time, I hop into a spacesuit and I'm like, well, fuck this. This is fucking insane. But like, that's the authentic me, right? That authenticity is important for me, for people to see that eventually want to work with me, right? Because if it was all tight-necked and very professional and then they hop on a call with Mike Stearns, I mean, it may be traumatic if they're not equipped for that, right? So like I try to foreshadow what the experience is going to be like, because that's me. That's who I am. I don't, I talk like a trucker, I think is what they say. And I'm fine with it, right? Because I know that 100% of the time, that's the experience that you're going to get. And some people might disengage from my brand because of that. And that's fine, right? Like that's okay. I'm all right with that. Ideally, I'd like to be able to work with every single person and make as huge of an impact as I can. But at the end of the day, not everybody is compatible. And if that's the case, then I wish you the best. And yeah, that's my take on it, right? And your authenticity is shaped by your experience. This is who you are. So yeah, we're gonna get some dry humor and some dad jokes. Things like, another thing about your business that nobody cares about, right? That's funny because, a lot of people, but you do it very, very tactfully, right? Because you talk about something, it's very attention grabbing, and there's a joke behind it because a lot of people fall victim to doing what you're doing, but then you provide a solution in it. Like, this is good. It actually is important to acknowledge this, that you're family owned and operated, but get to the story, talk about why it's important so that you can develop and build upon that to where it actually does differentiate you as opposed to just being 7 syllables on the landing page of your website. So good job.
So it's funny you say that, you mentioned that. So there's a TikTok, and I get on social media to study more than I do consume. But every once in a while, yes, I get caught down the vortex of social media, but there's one guy on there that says there's things I wish I knew when I was in my 30s, and I laugh because it's relatable because I'm almost out of my into my 40s, and anyway, and I was like, man, what could I do that would be fun with the same opening statement but super helpful at the same time? And I said I'm gonna have to do a bunch of these for it to catch on. People go, oh, I see what he's doing, and so anyway, so I was like, all right. Common things that people say about their business or claim about their business that nobody cares about, right? And it's always the same generic crap that you see on websites, landing pages. I make these claims about my business, and I'm like, all right, so we need to talk about those, and then we need to talk about how do we make that better. And so it's the funny part on the front end and the back end, and so I try to mix that in my content. It's not always driven in the same direction, but I feel like most of it's pretty helpful. It gets people to think. Does everything I say right in there? Probably not. But it is a lot better to say, hey, we are set up here in Buffalo, New York, because I grew up here. I love it here. And I like to, I'm a big Bills fan, and I want to be able to service this community because it means a lot to me, because this community gave a lot back to me, right? It's way more impactful than we're a homegrown business. And I think that's where people need to remember those things and be very descriptive. And it's hard if you're not, if you don't know enough about marketing, like, hey, I know how to do this specific thing really well, but I don't know how to market my business, then yes, you need that help. And I'm hoping that is something that will continue to catch on and people go, oh yeah, it's the common claims guy. So I'm going to continue to pump it out there, and hopefully that'll be helpful and get people at least thinking about how they market their business, how they put it online, so they can start, separating themselves from competition, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's a fact. And again, when I first saw your first one, I was like, I like this. And as I've seen more and more of them, I'm like, that's a fucking brilliant idea. All right, so I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest. How can Mike Stearns and Ascend Digital Agency make their content better?
Ooh, that's a good question. More content in your suit? I think, yeah, more content in your suit. I don't know. Like that, I would say if I'm looking at the content, yeah. Let's see. How could you make it better? I haven't studied your content, so it'd be hard for me to say, like, hey, let me listen to what's going on. Let me see how people are interacting. I have to look at the comments and see what's up there. I think you found, like, the podcast is amazing. Like, it's I listened to it when I was driving to RoofCon down in Orlando. I tune in now as often as I can if I'm, if I'm working on something in-house that doesn't require my ears. I'll listen to it, and I think the education side is amazing. Tying it to Real Authentic Mike, think that's the part that is and tying all those pieces together when you talk about content. I think that's good. But even I've seen some of your short form stuff come out now, where it's not the podcast, and it's like you talking realistic. I think that stuff I think people need more of that. And I'm trying to remember what it was that popped in my feed the other day. You were talking about, I wish I could remember what you were talking about. I was like, oh, I like this. Because it was real authentic Mike. And I was like, man, he's just being like down and dirty. Like, hey, you got to fix this. You got to fix this shit. And this is how you do it. I think more the authentic Mike, just you, is so engaging to me. So that I would say more authentic Mike, one-on-one, having that conversation with that one ideal customer that you guys have, and doing that. I would say that would be the one thing in your spacesuit.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that, because I have also received feedback that, like, I was thinking about, like, ramping up the content. And it's weird because, like, with the podcast specifically, like, they typically run an hour, hour and a half. I mean, I'll go 2 hours, whatever. I want to do more. So I was thinking about maybe doing a segment where it's like 20 to 30 minutes of just me and the camera. And actually my editing team was like, I think this would be really good. But I'm like, who wants to sit there and look at Mike's mug for 30 minutes on his soapbox? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll stand on, like, I'll make a legitimate, like, soapbox that I stand on in the rocket suit while I sit there and I talk to the camera. That'd be pretty engaging, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I would watch.
Custom soapbox dealers near me. Let's use SEO game strong here.
That's funny. Yeah, I think you have to be evolving with your content game, though. Like, it can't stay in one static thing, and it's got to change. It's got to be different from everything else. And while in the marketing space, I have people that I've had clients in the past like, hey, I want my videos to look like Alex Ramosi. Okay, why do you want that? Well, because it looks like XYZ. Great. What is your message? Like, that's more important. And so while I do that on my videos, I edit that way sometimes, but I don't do it all the time because it's taxing. It's a lot of work. But your message, your hook, and what is your message, and is it clear and concise to the point? And is it authentically you? Like, those are the main things to get. Hook, what is your message? Is it helpful to somebody? And is it you? And I think those videos you do when it's just you and the camera, you guys are making love to each other, and you're letting them know how it is. To me, those are my favorite videos. I'll watch those over and over again. I think podcasts are hard, though, man. Like, if you're wanting to pump out podcast content, I had a podcast. I won't. You can go check it out and figure it out what it was. Won't talk about it, but I spent a lot of time putting some really good stuff out there, but that's hard to get. I had to. It's hard to get people to buy into that, so it takes that engaging front end stuff first. So maybe you got my wheels turning for a second. How do we create content that's engaging and separate? Maybe problemware content of why they need to listen to the Mission Control podcast. Why?
That's why you're my guy.
Listening to the. So if you're not listening, I always go back to all right, why would somebody not? I mean, I love it. I know it because I know you. And your stuff is gold, so I listen to it anyway, so I know that. But, like, so if somebody that's not listening to it, why should they turn off whatever podcast they're listening to? Or why should they listen to a podcast in the first place? And when should they listen to a podcast? And then why should it be what Mike is talking about? So now you've got 3 different things you need to address in content that's outside of the podcast. And that could help you pull more people into the gold that you're spewing in there. So those are questions to think about, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Noted. It's recorded, so we'll be able to reference this. And we'll see if I'm one of those guys that just asks and doesn't follow up and do anything that somebody who has really good insights tells him to, or if I actually do these things. So stay tuned. That's why you should watch about 3 weeks from now, because when I circle back to this, you can see if I actually care about what Jordan has to say.
Yeah.
The answer is yes, I do, and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. No, it is. Yeah, I appreciate the thing, but it's a different perspective though. Like for those people putting out podcasts, because like how many podcasts are out there, and people put out shorts and clips from the podcast. I'm like, yeah, but you're doing what everybody else is doing. Like, how do you make it? Like, why should people be listening to podcasts, and why should we listen to yours? Like, answer those questions. You know, that I think that's what people don't think about. It's your podcast solves a problem, and if people aren't aware of the problem, then you've got to make them aware. And the same thing. I started putting out content when I started Presto Media a couple months ago. It was all about how to create really good content for contractors. Mm-hmm. I had a mentor of mine from a while back. He's a big content guy. He goes, "Hey man, so I love your content, but like, you know, how's it going?" I said, "Well, it's all right. You know, it's not a lot of engagement." He goes, "Yeah, because you haven't told them why they need to watch it." I was like, I love you and hate you at the same time. You're right.
Right.
You're absolutely right. He said, you've got to put out more problem-aware content. You've got to get them engaged into why they need to be putting content out as a contractor. He goes, because I told him, I said, I have a lot of marketing companies reaching out to me wanting to do work with them. And he said, yeah, because they all understand the value of content, because contractors just don't. Some of them do, but the majority of them just don't. They don't get it. And I said, you're right. So I made a massive switch quickly, and I made it a point to tie in how I put out content into the problem-aware, solution-aware, and then, you know, make an offer. I've tied that into what contractors should be doing, how I do my content, and then now really to me, when you hire somebody to do content, not necessarily SEO or Google-driven, but social media content, you have to think about the constant 60% of people that aren't ready to buy right now that are going to be ready to buy in about 6 months, maybe 3 to 9 months. I say 3 to 9 months range. And if you're not always engaging that 60%, you're going to be chasing that 3% that are ready to buy now, or that 10% somewhere in there, some 3 to 10% that are ready to buy right now. You're going to be chasing that small margin. Why don't you constantly have content going out that's going to chase the massive margin of 60%? I'd rather have 60% of a pie than 3 to 10%, wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure. And it's not only that, right? Like the quality of the opportunity is going to markedly improve when you're chasing that 60% if they know who you are and you've carved yourself out as an industry leader that can be trusted preemptively, you know, before they came into that 3% where now they're ready to buy. I promise you the experience for your salespeople is going to be better if you have a strong brand and they trust you before because of the investment that you've made in advance.
Exactly. And that goes back to the original point of me saying that problem-aware content is that investment in your customer saying, I'm here to help, I'm here to help. And that's how you do it.
That's a really good point. Man, you're just dropping some heat today, sir. So what's one thing that you see a lot of contractors make as a mistake when creating content?
The biggest mistake is just saying, hey, if you need a roof, hey, do you need a new AC unit? It's just going straight for, if you need this, I can do this. That's it. Like, that's it. So the majority, next to not creating any at all, that's the first thing of those putting any out. Because I guess I'd say the first thing is not creating any at all. Because here in Birmingham, I'm friends with some HVAC guys here. I don't know if I'm friends with any roofers, but I look at their pages and there is zero content coming out. Mike, there's zero. And I look at some of these guys, I'm like, man, like you could just I'm in town, man. Just hire me. We'll come create some killer content.
Right.
And you would automatically in the next 6 months dominate your entire market here in Birmingham because nobody's doing it. Even the biggest companies are not putting out content. And here's what's crazy. So my mom had her roof put on 3 months ago. She couldn't even tell you the name of the company that put it on unless she looked at her receipts. So how bad is it that you got the sale, but I don't even remember the name of your company? Like how are you going to get referrals? So you almost have to think like you follow through with your content through the end. Like if nobody remembers who you are after they even bought from you, like they got to look at the receipt. Who did I just spend 20 grand with? And they don't even remember the name of your company. Like, wow, you are in the grind and chasing money constantly. Man, that's got to hurt as a business owner. So I would say number one would be not putting out any content. But if they are putting it out, it's somebody saying, hey, if you need a roof, I can put on a roof. If you need a new HVAC unit, I can put on an HVAC unit. Like that's all they're doing.
Yeah, I think that is spot on. And like, guys, think about it. Nobody wants to be pitched at every turn. If every time you see me, I'm trying to sell you something, you're gonna be like, fucking Mike is so annoying. And you're gonna want to divest from that relationship as quickly as possible. But if I bring you value 30, 50, 70, 80% of the time, I feel like I don't do a good enough job pushing sales, like sales-oriented content. I usually tell people, like, I don't know, gun to my head, it should be like 80-20. 80-20 as far as like branding, problem-aware content, things of that nature, like letting people know how you can help them, and then like 20% like, hey, you should buy from us, right? And maybe that's right, maybe that's wrong. Maybe some people say it's 70-30, 50-50. Whatever the case may be, there is a balance there. And I don't think that I put out enough content to say, like, hey, you should buy shit from us. But it's an opportunity to grow. Everybody has an opportunity to grow. And that's all we're trying to do is move the needle every day away from imperfect. I always say, like, if you have imperfect over here, perfect here, I'll never get to perfect. I know that. But if I could just move that needle a little bit further away from imperfect, it's all good. Right?
Yo, yeah.
I don't know.
It was funny you say that. I don't remember the last time you put a post out that said, buy my shit.
Right.
Like, I really don't. I don't.
Because I really don't do it.
Yeah. I put it out, see, and I do, and I think it has to be a balance of where you are in your business, too. Like, all right, I'm 2 months in. Mm-hmm. Like, people need to know exactly what I do. So there's going to be a lot of times that I'm going to have to push that envelope a little bit more. Like, people know who Mike Stearns is for the most part, right? You got enough referrals and clients, and people knows who Mike is. But it's like, I'm starting out. All right, well, now people got to know exactly what are the things I can offer to the market. But
right.
That's also meaning I'm putting out, so the past 2 months has been putting out just a ton of content on, like, here are things you need to be aware of and just being as valuable as possible. But I do, it's a business. You got to make money, so you got to bring people in. So I'm having to put a little bit more offer posts, and it's really not more as an offer post that it's like, I'm reverting back to my problem and solution-aware content and saying, this is how I solve it. And the offer is basically, it's showing you guys that, hey, instead of chasing the 10%, chase to 60, and that's how you do it with content. And I can show you how to do it. So so I've had to put a little bit more offer posts out lately, and they don't. And just to know that not all your content hits, that's the part that not all of it hits. I'll put something out and I go, man, I nailed that, and ain't nobody touching it. It happens.
Yeah, it happens more often than the other side of that, where it's like you put something out and it actually does hit. I've put out 15 YouTube shorts, for instance, in the last week. And if you look at 13 of them, it's like 7 views, 88 views, 15 views. And one's got 3,600. And it's probably because I got Joseph Hughes on, and he's just a fucking handsome guy. And people want to see him, right? And I don't blame him. But like the other content is good as well, but it's not as well received. And part of that, I'm sure, is the algorithm. Part of that is maybe how it's edited. Part of that's the fact that I didn't use a trending song. There's so many things that are going to impact whether or not people consume, engage, or even presented your content. Keep fucking going. Keep putting it out. Keep it up. Don't stop.
What people forget, though, content is evergreen. It'll always be there. Right. Short of, shit falling down, but it's not going there. Like, say, for instance, if you're scaling and you're using paid advertisement, right? You're using Google, Facebook ads, whatever. When you stop putting money in that machine, that drip's gone. Your content's still there. Your brand is still there. So even if it doesn't hit right now, 5 years from now or a year from now, if you put it on YouTube, whatever, like no matter where it's at, people may go back later and see that. Or you can go back later and see your growth in that and go, oh, man. Matter of fact, I had a video pop up. I've been doing video content since 2006. I just did it differently. I didn't do it for businesses. I did it for students when I was teaching. And long story short, I had 30 kids in a guitar class. All 30 ain't going to play at the same time. So I had to create, this is when podcasts were coming out, video vodcasts were coming out. So I started creating videos on how to play the guitar, and they would put headphones on. It was a one-to-one school, so they had a lot of laptops, whatever. And they would just come into my office, and I'd teach them one by one on the lesson that I put out that week. So I would record on an old camcorder, put it into iMovie. It was a crappy edit. So I started helping and doing content there. So I look at that content when I was a youngin'. It was 18 years ago. 18. Is that the right date? I can't. Yeah, 16 years ago. To now, and it's like my content's way better, but I've put in the reps. So don't forget it's evergreen. Don't forget you're going to get better with it.
Yeah, 2 important points for sure. And then you worked in the fact of like repetitions, right? If you're going to the gym and you're curling 20-pound dumbbells for sets of 10, I mean, you're not going to move up to 30s by not pushing it, by not doing it consistently. If you're a runner and you're running 10-minute miles and you want to get it down to 9-minute miles, sitting on the fucking couch isn't going to get you there, right? You got to put the reps in. So that's, yeah, I think that's kind of overlooked, right? We always say it about like millennials and Gen Z, but a lot of people have shifted towards like an immediate gratification mindset, especially in business, right? They want it now. They want it yesterday. And if I can't see the attribution of what I'm doing and how it's getting me what I want immediately, I'm just not going to do it. And that's I don't want to say a grave mistake, but it's an oversight for sure, and one that can, impact your company in a negative way. And that's not to say like if you're not doing video content or you're not putting out content consistently, you're not going to do well. But I mean, you could do 7 million with great margin, and like, yeah, that's objectively fantastic. But if you started doing content 2 years ago, maybe that 7 million is 9 million. And with no additional stress, right? Or minimal stress because of it. No additional money into lead gen. Or maybe it's 7.7. It will never hurt you to put in the effort to do that content. And it's okay for the content not to be perfect. I saw a post of yours and I was delighted that you made yourself vulnerable to repost it. It was 7-8 years ago. And you're like, my content sucked.
It was so bad.
But you did it, right? Like,
Yeah.
you did it. It's fine. Like, you want to start off at your floor. You're not going to start off at the ceiling, right? So get a baseline, get it done, get it out there. And then just like anything else in life, like, be aware of what you can do to optimize it. And it's not saying you have to hire an on-staff editor to make sure they're editing all your shit so it looks like Gary V's. You can do that. That's an option. But there's a lot of room between, like, creating shit content and doing nothing with it and what Gary Vee is doing, or Alex Hermosi, or any of the people that you see online consistently deploying content on every single platform, right?
Yeah, and I think what I'm doing, I went down and shot video content at a client's earlier in this week, and we were shooting. I don't always run ads, but I run ads for him because I've done it for 2 years. So anyway, long story short, we went down and shot everything with 2 of these. Everything with a Rode mic and 2 of these, because what I want to show people is that's all we've shot as video ads on as content is one of these. All his photos, everything. If you're putting it on social media, you don't have to have a videographer follow you around. You don't have to have this like really fancy setup. Like you don't have to have it. So what we did was matter of fact, I'm doing a couple things. One, I'm getting rid of my nicer cameras. I bought a second iPhone. And my goal is to show contractors that all you need, and this is kind of one of the things I'm putting together, this is for down the road in several months, I'm putting together an on-site package where I come and show you how to use your video and create content and implement that into your daily business, and how you can do it easily and set everything up so you can do it yourself. And that way on the back end, if you want somebody to do some quick edits, you can do some quick edits. And so right now I'm currently working on that because today you got to look at like TJ McCormick too. Like the dude does everything on his phone. I don't even think he uses a nice mic. Yep. And dude's got 100,000 right. followers. So all you need is this. And with the new iPhones, like they're geared for if you watch what Apple's doing, they have no competition. They've cornered the market, and I always wondered, why are they upgrading their cameras? Why are they upgrading cameras? Because video content, they knew 5 years ago video content was going to be the thing. And so they keep upgrading and making it so easy to do it all in one place, and you don't need anything else. So they're just crushing their competition because they were 5 years ahead going, people are going to be using their devices, they're going to be putting on videos. So my goal is to show contractors how you can do it with just your phone. You do need to do a nice mic, I will say that. Phone, nice microphone, which is like $300, right? Get you a Rode or whatever. You use a DJI. And go out there and just create content every single day, and you're surrounded by it. It's hard for me to sit in my office and show you guys create content because it'll just be my phone sitting behind me like this and me editing videos.
Right.
What's up, guys? So, did you see the edit I did right here? No, it's dumb. You know, like people don't want to see that, so I have to get creative. But you guys are in the field. We were shooting, for example, and if we got to chop this off, let me know, shut me up. But so I was down there, we're shooting videos for this guy, and we had 30 frequently asked questions that I pulled from his content. Okay, 30. And he answered them with just him and his face. We're going to put him on a landing page, and so whatever. We got a lot of stuff to do with it. But while we were there, he goes, "Hey, do you mind? I got some guys coming to pick up a rail from my fence. They're just buying the fence directly from me." Cool. So we went out and we shot video of him just loading it up, putting it on the trailer, how he did that, of the stockyard of where all of his fence is. And I shot photos, and I literally shot that. Guess what? That's going to be multiple pieces of content people see, like the behind the scenes of how does it work from the stockyard? How does it get loaded? If you want to just buy the material, this is what it looks like when you come pick it up. If you come pick it up from us, right? Content behind the scenes, it shows the owner himself doing it, and people eat it alive. Some of the best engaging content that got shared, and I think gained leads from him was literally, we were at his shop, and I was taking a photo to frame a video. So sometimes when you to get an idea of what a video would look like, you take a photo and to get a framing shot. So I was doing that, and it was just him standing there. It was an awkward pose. I put that up a couple times. It's gotten him leads based on the posts that we put out. So you don't. That's all you need. That is literally all you need. So hopefully down the road you'll see me put an offer out there to come on site and show you guys how to implement a content team on a budget or whatever, and how you do it you can do it with your own guys or whatever, and create a lot of really great content, how to do it the right way. Yeah, it's coming soon.
I like that shit, because I think that a lot of contractors are kind of intimidated by the technology. And dude, I'm just going to say, you guys have egos and you don't like to admit that you don't know shit. So some of the times it's you don't know, you're not going to ask, so you're just not going to do it. And I promise you that's not the right approach. So within what you're going to do as far as on-site, are you going to train them as far as how to upload something to YouTube, how to do a quick edit on your phone, how to transfer large files in a seamless way and share access? Is that going to be part of the program? Yeah,
it'll be top down, bottom to top down. And matter of fact, I'm going to end up giving it all away on how do you do it. Literally, I'm here, I'm going to throw it in. I have a Facebook group that I'll put all the guides in because it's just cheap to put free guides, put it on a Facebook group. Anyways, I'm going to throw them all in there, and it's all going to be free. You can learn how to do it free, top to bottom. I'm going to put all the instructional videos, everything. You're going to get it. So you're going to know exactly how to do it. I'm just going to give it away because I don't, there's no point. Nobody might, I guess Joe Hughes probably does a lot of this, and he does a fantastic job of it. He goes a little bit more in depth on the back end side, but as far as the front end side, nobody's showing them how to do this stuff. So I'm going to give it all away free. You can have it. I don't care. I can have competitors come in and take it and steal it. I don't care. But if you need it implemented and you need help through the process, that's when the money should be made on my side, is helping you implement. But everything else, the information would be free. I'm taking it from a million places, putting it in one source, giving it away. And I think it should be.
Yeah. And let's look at this and be honest with ourselves. That's going to help you because the majority of people aren't going to do it, even if they download the guide. The same way you can find a million fucking videos on how to work out to get that six-pack, and guess how many people don't have six-packs and go hire a trainer, and maybe they get there after that point, but then they're paying somebody for a bunch of information that's already out there for free, just because it comes down to accountability, and it's a lot easier externally to have somebody hold you accountable, get something done with you, than it is to figure it out yourself, right?
Yeah, and even then, there'll be a service offered on the back end where it's hey, I could do all this stuff, but could you just take care of it? I don't have time. I don't want to do it. I want to outsource the back end of this and get it all posted. So, that's that solves the problem there, because not everybody wants to build an in-house social media team, and nor do they want to get their business to that point. You're talking about some big players in the roofing industry that have that, but they hire one videographer full time, and that's money. That is money. It's helpful, but it's money. So I'm trying to reduce the cost, show them how they can do it, be authentic at the same time, and do it on a budget that's still going to be effective, still going to drive people they want, and help them grow, man. That's the goal.
Yeah, I like that. There's such a negative connotation around selling somebody something, right? People hear or they feel it comes in the radar that they're being sold, and they're I feel like the emotional reaction is like negative, but it's like it's not necessarily a negative thing for somebody to tell you something if it's of service and it's going to help you. Now, the tactics that people use to sell vary quite significantly, and some of those can be rather off-putting and disingenuous, misleading, or outright lies. That does happen. It happens every day in every industry, and it's a tragedy. But yeah, I always found it interesting. Like, well, I had a guy tell me a couple weeks ago, he's like, I don't want to be sold. And I'm like, well, you're calling me for a service that you need and want us to perform. I don't know how we get to the point of doing your service unless I sell it to you. I'll get like in my anyone who's done business with me, they know that like my sales style is, let's talk about your issues. Let's talk about your problems. You're gonna have your preconceived understanding of what you need from me, but I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions to make sure that like that's actually what you need. So, for instance, SEO. I need SEO. If you're a company that did $350,000 in revenue last year, and you're trying to get to $700,000, you don't need SEO. It's probably not the right time for you to invest into a legitimate SEO strategy.
You have business problems that need to be fixed.
Yeah, like you need to focus on systems, processes, how you're going to grow your team. Yes, how you're going to get more leads, but not leads 18 months from now, like leads now. Same thing as if you're trying to 2x from $1 million to $2 million. And you say, okay, all that I want to invest into my company as far as a marketing and advertising budget is $40,000, and you're steadfast on that $40,000. Let's figure out some paid advertising that you can do to help get you there. Let's work consultatively on some things internally that you can do yourself or have your salesperson that you have do on the company's behalf to generate more opportunities. Yeah, so like, yeah, it's just it's always been interesting to me ever since I got into sales, especially like how some people get real high alert and put off by the fact that somebody is approaching them to sell them something. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's that? Do you agree that there's typically like a negative connotation or emotion that's evoked from like somebody trying to sell something? And if you do agree or don't agree, why or why not?
Yeah, and I agree, and I'll give you my I guess my thought process behind it. So, 80s and 90s, I would say you had to be sold to. All right, sales guys had to sell to you. 70s, 80s, 90s, you had to sell people into stuff because they had to convince them that this was going to work, whatever. I feel like that was the philosophy. And I think somewhere in the 2000s, you had some people making headway in the sales space where like, hey, like we've got to change the way people think. Because I do follow a bunch of salespeople because I have a business. I have to be able to sell my products and services, so I have to make sure I do it in a way. Like my content isn't going to always just be the thing that wins. Will it help? Yes. But at the end, like they may trust me. But at the end of the day, I still have to say, make an offer and go and make it to where it sounds like a no-brainer. So I follow people like Cole Gordon and Jeremy Minor and some of these big name players in the sales industry. And so what they've done a great job is turn off sales. Some of them call it sales resistance, where, yes, I agree. Some people just are so turned off by sales. And they make it very empathetic to what the person is going through. And I think if you're selling jobs or whatever you're selling for your company or business, you have to be thinking about what is that person going through? Like what are they experiencing in the moment? And am I being empathetic to that? So I'm going to relate it back to something real quick that's not even having anything to do with business. So when I was a teacher, I was a band director. Cue the band jokes. Go ahead. One time at band camp. All of us know it.
Wait, hold on 1 second.
I got to get sound effects. So anyways, I was a band director and I was in sales. I had to sell kids on what band could do for them. Not as they could be a great, get scholarships or anything like that. They can make money or they're going to learn to play an instrument. What kind of person are they going to be from 6th grade to 12th grade and when they graduate? I had to sell them on that vision. and how it was better than sports. And in Alabama, that's hard because sports are king. It just is. Football is just king. So I had to sell kids on what band is going to do for them all down the road. So when I learned how to be a leader and teach leadership and be empathetic to those people to the kids that I was teaching, band programs grew. I would double in size because I would show kids, and then we would live it every day and remind them, I had to show them where they're going to be, what kind of transformation they're going to have. So in your business, to go back to business now, it's the same thing. You have to be able to show them, be empathetic to where they are, and then show them how it's going to take care of their problem, and do it in a way that makes them the hero in the whole thing. Matter of fact, I just finished a bunch of content on making the customer the hero in your content, right? I know, most people are like, hey, well, I'm the one that's fixing their problem. I'm the hero. No, you're not. They don't care about your business more than you take care of the problem. They only care that much, and it's just the reality. So when you're doing selling to turn away resistance, and it's hard, it's simply just being empathetic to where they're at, just showing them a transformation, and then it's okay to ask for a sale. And I think that's the last part that most sales training people will tell you is asking for the sale. Are you ready to move forward? And I think that's really hard for people because of that, because they've got the preconceived notion of a customer that they don't want to be sold to, like you said. So if I'm asking them for a sell, they won't take it. They just have to ask me. And I think that whole level of questioning and alignment with your sales and with your business. And the last thing I would say on that is just being wholeheartedly confident that your service is going to completely take care of them. And being confident in that. I think that would be the last part there, to be confident in the sales side. So I agree. Yes, sales resistance is there. People don't want to be sold to, and it's hard as a business owner. It's hard as a sales representative to be able to be empathetic and see their side of things and walk them through the transformation and do that. Content helps. Case studies help, all that stuff helps. But yeah, I agree, man. I wholeheartedly agree. If all of that makes sense, I try to tie it into a story. Stories are important.
Stories are important, for sure. So you mentioned making your customer the hero of the story, right? How do you? What's the best way to do that on a website? And what's the percentage of, you should talk about things that would build trust with your company versus making them a hero?
If we're talking about websites, I'm going to put that question back on you because you're the web design guru. Me, hey. If I'm thinking content, here's what I want to read. And I did a video on this too. Matter of fact, I was editing it. Changing, and I think Tim Brown talked about this too, switching the word around from we do this to you, talking about the customer, making the change there. So for instance, an example would be hey, so in content, let's say content from it. Hey, you probably learned that, you probably found this type of leak. You probably found a leak in the corner of your wall of your sink or whatever. You've probably already learned that it could be this problem or this problem, right? So in those first two sentences, you didn't say, there's nothing telling them that you made them the hero by saying, you've already done your research, right? And you've already figured out what the problem could be, right? So to me, right then and there, you've made them the hero of their own story. I did this myself. I saw the leak. I figured out what the problem was. You should solve that problem. Or you probably learned that these are different ways that you could solve this problem. Your way, and when you're doing it in content, your way is the prime way that could be solved, right? That's where you start getting tricky with the messaging. Your way is the way that the problem should be solved. So anyway, so what I see there is you just made them the complete hero of that entire customer journey of you figured out this, you did that. Look at what you did. That's amazing. If you're ready to make the solution though, you can make the decision and you can choose us, and here's why. So now you've got all this you. And there you got your why at the end. So to me, I see that as making the customer the heroes because you referred back to what they did to figure out their own problem, discover it, find a solution, more than likely your business, right? If you made them there. So as far as now web content, I don't want to speak on that. I would assume it's similar because I don't do web design. So I have done websites. They're not that great. I built my own. It sucks. I need to call Mike to fix it. I built my own site in about 2 weeks just because I just needed something up to showcase products. But anyway, so to me, making them, switching around to the word you and making them the hero and that they discovered all these things, they figured it out. That's way more impactful and powerful than saying these are all things we can do to solve your problem.
Yeah, I like that. I also like what you said about like having confidence in your product and asking for the sale. I would take it a step further, and if you have the confidence in your product, assuming the sale. And if you have a sales process to where you've drawn out the objections, you've isolated the issues, the objections, you've already put those objections out in advance by strategically asking those questions and providing the value and solutions that your company brings to the table, assuming the sale, here's what some people would say, and this is the feedback that I've gotten in the past, when doing some consulting for people. It's, it gets awkward if I assume the sale and then they push back. And it's like, well, I feel as if you've delivered all this value and you're the best solution, I feel like if you run a business, you should feel like you're the best solution for your target market. There should be a level of uncomfortability on the homeowner's side if they're not going to choose you. And you should sit there and stare at them and wait for them to tell you why they're not going to choose you, right?
I agree.
I don't know, right? Because you're going to get the false objections, right? And if you've asked the right questions throughout your sales process, you can kind of go back to those. Well, yeah, but it's just a matter of price. I understand that, Mr. Customer. I mean, a roof, you're protecting an investment like your home, and it's not cheap. I get that. But then you can go back to issues with investing with the wrong company or finance options that you've presented to make that roof more affordable, or other ways that you've talked about leveraging other opportunities to pay for the roof in a way that's less draining on your finances. Some people want to use a credit card. Some people want to use financing. Some people, are going to do a home equity loan. There's tons of different. Some people use savings. Whatever, it's fine. But if you've drawn that out on the front end and talked about options that are available, what you've seen your customers do in the past to make this situation less stressful, and provide them with those solutions along the way, and trial close them. So when you're going through all these great points about your company or ways they're going to pay for the roof, or how an improper installation can completely fuck their warranty, ask them if they understand why that's important. Ask them if it makes sense. Ask them if they could see how that could make a difference in their roofing project and why choosing the right contractor the first time is really, really important. Because then guess what? At the end of that conversation, when they're talking about getting 3 bids or they've got 2 others that they've got to consider, you can ask that question. Well, remember when we talked about that? Mm-hmm. And then shut up.
The hardest part is getting people to shut up.
Yeah.
On the sales side, is just looking at them going, what do you want to do? I had a before I started my company, I had a job interview. Somebody invited me to work for their sales organization as a sales training coach, helping new sales reps in the high ticket market. So he did this on me. Guy, I won't say what company it was. They're fantastic though. Anyways, he did it on me. I talked to the head guy, they put me up top. And which is really weird. I'm like, dude, I'm a content guy. But anyways, long story short, so he looked at me at the end, and he's looking to sell me on the job, and he's just like, so where do we go from here? He didn't say anything else because I was like, I'm on the fence. I could do this, but it's not working with my skill. I could figure it out. And he just looked at me and said, where do we go from here? And he didn't say another word. It was an awkward 1 minute. And I was like, holy crap. I ended up turning down, but he was so good at just keeping his mouth shut. And I've seen his sales training, and a lot of people forget that. They don't let that awkward silence. it let them affect them more than the homeowner. And some people will see that as bad on the sales side. Like, well, you're trying to rip somebody off. Well, not necessarily. Like, it goes back to what you said. If you're confident in your product is going to help them and you don't want to see them get ripped off by somebody else, it is your duty to hold that silence and be uncomfortable as possible until they decide, hey, you're the best option. It is your duty in your service to help them decide. If you know for a fact your company's the best, that you need to hold that awkward silence until they go, yeah, you're right. Let's do this. And then you, boom, get it done. To me, it's your duty.
Yeah. And honestly, in my experience in selling and being sold to, the transition from the pitch to the close is what people struggle with the most. Like, and if you don't have a good sales process, that only makes it more challenging to transition into that close. And it's like, I don't know. I talked about assuming the sale. Like, how do you assume a sale when you're pitching a homeowner on a new roof? Well, you've gone through all the value. You've got the customer, the prospective customer, to acknowledge the value every step of the way. So in my mind, there's no reason they wouldn't choose you. So I mean, the assumptive close would be, all right, great. So I could have somebody out. I could have the crew out Tuesday of next week. We can get it wrapped up. It might take a day or two, or we'd be looking into the following week, Wednesday. Give them an A/B option, and then wait. Disclaimer: I'm not a sales coach. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are way better than me at sales, but fundamentally, there's just small tweaks that you can make to your sales process that really could make a market improvement to your closing percentages.
Yeah, and I would say listen to Jeremy Miner has another way of approaching that too. He's a big sales. I don't know if you know Jeremy Miner or not. He's somebody to listen to if you're looking at sales. He coaches sales across multiple industries, and his biggest clients are like Google. Like an entire department of Google raised their pricing and how they structure their sales inside Google. Like, it was a massive deal. But he helps all industries. I've seen a lot of roofers follow him and trying to fix their sales process, and he calls it NEPQ, but he's a great person to follow. If you follow his content, you could probably change your closing percentage by like 10% by just following and implementing like little things in his content. So Jeremy Miner is somebody that's great to follow, but and I think, to me, if there's going to be anything you're going to get really good at in your business, it's how to freaking sell, right? Like, I mean, think about this: if your margins are in a good place, or whatever, like, well, I can take 20 leads, and let's say if I change my closing percentage from say 10 or say 20 to 30, like that's a 10% increase in your business every month. Do that month over month, and now like, you spent less money or done less advertising and less work on the front end and made more money on the front end. So, like, to me, if you're going to train and get better at something, get better at selling something.
I like that. And I think I want to add something to that. So Jeremy Miner, great resource. And there's a ton of other great resources that are free and you can follow. And it doesn't mean just because person B, C, or D doesn't align with the approach of person A, that person A is wrong. And it doesn't mean that you have to adopt everything that person A says. I look at it kind of like I would look at the most fundamental aspect of starting a sales position, like a script or a framework. John Cenac calls it a framework. Like, that's where you start. But, like, you don't want to be 4 or 5 months in reading a script to a customer. You want to take the concept, and then you want to take small pieces of that and manipulate that into something that's your own. And it's the same thing if you're taking like advice from different people on sales. It's not an all or nothing approach. It's not this is right, this is wrong. Part of that's going to be who's selling. And if you give them that framework and have a process and you manage your sales team, a lot of people, lay out a process and then, there's no oversight or management of it. The process isn't going to work on its own. It'll make it easier. It'll make things more predictable, but we're still humans, and those humans need to be managed, especially salespeople. I'll tell you.
Yes.
And we can argue. We can have a whole podcast. I'll bring a sales guy on here and people that run sales team, and let's talk about how to manage that sales team and what your role is as the manager, because I would love to talk about that. So if you're listening and you run a sales team, hit me up. But yeah, like you have to, even if you have systems and processes, like you have to have somebody that holds people accountable to make sure that those processes are being followed.
Yeah.
I digress.
Well, wrap that into content for a moment. Every objection you get in your sales process should be in your content.
Yes.
Period. Matter of fact, same thing. We did this with the client. I went through his messages. I asked him why were people not buying, what people were asking. I put them into questions. We talked about how they should be answered, and then we put them into videos. So, and what makes it even more powerful is, say you have a sales team for a moment. If their guys are comfortable, they need to be on video. Your sales guys should be on video. They should be talking about, hey, so this question comes up the other day. It comes up a lot. We want to go ahead and talk about this question now. And then you talk about the question, right? And in the form of making them a hero or whatever, talk about, if you're deciding to do this, if you're deciding, you're like, hey, look, I already know I need a new roof, whatever. And they're walking through the objection through a video. And if it's not just one person and you can get your sales guys to do it, it's even more powerful. So tie it back into content once again. All of your frequently asked questions, all of your sales objections should constantly be put back into content. And then you should see, like, once again, to me, if you're putting out content, it's just another form of marketing. It's looking at your numbers. If you're doing Google ads, if you're doing SEO, if you're doing, any paid traffic, you're looking at, okay, what are people engaging with? What are they not engaging with? And what's powerful, what's not? Are people asking questions about this stuff? And then look at your overall numbers for a moment and go, let's look at our content for the past 2 months. Let's look at engagement. Let's look at all this stuff, and then let's look at what have our sales done? Could they be related? Did we change something? So, as a business owner, obviously, and you know this, like you got to look kind of, if you're looking at big picture, how has content affected or helped our sales? Now, to me, if you're doing content on social media, I think you need to look at about 3 months at least minimum, really 6 if you're just getting started. Look at 6 months and then look at your sales and see how they've improved to me. And I think those two go really well. Or even look at your conversions, cost per lead. Have those gone down? I know you guys talk about that a lot on the Google side. Like, has your advertising costs gone down if you're paying for ads? It doesn't matter with SEO, right? You're putting the work behind it. But has everything gone down and you're able to get more sales based on content put out? And is your advertising dollars going lower? So I think all that should be considered and looked at as a whole, and just continuing that loop of addressing objections and putting out your content, and tracking those numbers, and then seeing how you can improve the content or ask the questions better or phrase them better or make them more relatable to the customer.
Yeah, every element of that, of the information you just set forth, I wholeheartedly agree with. And guys, think of it this way. Imagine this. So you have a customer, they want to buy a roof, or you're an HVAC guy and it's time to buy a new furnace or whatever. Like, you're a foundation contractor, and a foundation's going to be expensive. Think about it this way. What if you have a YouTube channel and you have a playlist, which is all the questions that should be asked relating to purchasing your product or service? Now your salespeople can leverage that as a resource and just send them a link to your YouTube playlist. It's like, look, and even if the meeting went as well as it could be, hey, by the way, we've been doing this a long time. We've dealt with a ton of customers. By the way, check out our reviews. But we created a resource guide for homeowners based on the feedback that we've gotten over the last 20 years, 10 years, whatever. Here's a link. These are some things that I want you to think about as you're making this decision. It can be a part of an automation when it hits, appointment set. Maybe we send it before then, right? So you go into Job Nimbus, the appointment set, customer gets an email with a link that talks about 15 of the most important things to consider when you're purchasing a new roof. And guess what your salesperson's going to talk about somewhere in their sales process?
All 14. Mm-hmm.
So, and then, you could take it a step. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You can build out a landing page for each one of your sales reps on your own website with an intro talking about who they are. You can give them an opportunity to put other videos up there that, you kind of just embed from YouTube to create a personalized experience. So like when they're out knocking doors, or they're doing door hangers, or they're getting really active in social media community groups, right? Now,
if you need a landing page, Rep Pages Pro, by the way, for reps. By the way, sorry, I gotta throw the plug in there.
It's all good.
No, you're right. You're right on the money, and I have a story that will back up what you're saying. So keep going.
Yeah, well, I mean, just as a salesperson, regardless of the industry you're in, if you're doing things to generate opportunities, you want to make sure that you're getting credit for the opportunities that are coming in, because that's going to impact your commissions if you sell them. You don't want things that you're doing as far as like feet on the street, pounding the pavement, to go to salesperson B. So as an owner, if we acknowledge that and understand that that is the case here, and we create all these individual landing pages for our sales reps. Now when we do, we take direct mail through Dope and send it out to customers, we can do it by a sales rep. And hey, when they scan that QR code, they're going to come to this sales reps page, right? Or when they post this link in the social media group, we know that they're going to come to John's personal page, and we'll be able to attribute this customer to John and make sure they get scheduled with John. And guess what John's going to do? John's going to be a lot more fucking excited about doing all the things he doesn't want to do for self-John, because there's that transparency there. People want transparency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's funny you said that. So we took client on Monday. We're running Facebook ads for this guy because it's a new product. It's really the only thing you can do. People aren't searching for it specifically. So anyways, we're running Facebook ads, and we're adding to his automations on the back end. When they book or when they at least fill out the form, they're automatically going to get a link to a landing page that says, hey, this is what you need to be ready to give us when we give you a call to provide an estimate, and here's why. And so literally I click the link, and it'll be a list of videos of him, the owner, going through each of those one questions that he gets asked the most often when he's on the call. So when they get on that call, they know who they're talking to. They're going to already be ready to trust him, right? And they're going to be ready to give those answers, and they're going to be more likely to understand why they're giving those answers. And some people are like, I just want a price. I'm like, well, I can't just give you a price. Like, materials change. They go high, they go lower. They'll change every month, right? That's the hard part about contracting. So like it allows him to get as many objections out of the way and build some trust and have the person prepared. Like, why would you not prepare somebody to get on the phone call with you and surprise them? Like, why would you not prepare them every step of the way to be prepared and make it as seamless as possible? So like, I always think about the customer journey, like where can you improve and prepare them for the next step and getting the seller? Like, how does that happen? Right. I did that in teaching. Like, I would teach kids from, and I just relate it to there because that's the thing I've done for the longest is like, why would you, like I taught high school kids, I taught them from like, here's how you come in the room. Here's how here's how you get ready to warm up and all this stuff. Here's how you get ready for a football game day when we go on football games. Like, here's the whole process that has to happen. And my entire leadership had to do it all. I taught them, I showed them, and then I had to tell them they had to figure out how to improve it. So anyways, long story short, being engaging and showing people every step of the way and making it easier for them to know what's going to happen on that call, what's the next step, being honest about that stuff, it just makes it so much easier. So yes, everything you said wholeheartedly is everything that I'm doing and doing for clients, and any good marketing company should be doing that.
I like that. Yeah, and you had mentioned something as well that piqued an interest to me. It's, as a contractor, it's hard for you to price. And people, my clients have gotten this, and I've gotten this feedback. It's like, even, we developed an instant roof quote app a year and a half ago that we use in conjunction with Google Ads to drive a lot of traffic. And like the pricing thing always comes up, and how accurate is instant roof quote, or just a cold lead that's like roofer near me, and they land on the website and like, I want a price. Guys, it shouldn't be that challenging for you guys to field that call. It's very simple. It's, we're providing a service, and there's a lot of variables that are going to impact the price. So, and then ask them the question: what kind of experience would it be for you if I gave you a quote of $10,000? And then we came to the house and realized there were 3 layers of shingles that we had to tear off. That requires way more man hours. That requires an increase in dump fees. And then come to the end of it, and now we got to quote you $15,000. What is your experience with my company going to be like? And they're probably going to tell you it'd be a shitty experience, right? So we hedge against that. We have someone come out. We make sure that, we can give you as accurate a price as possible. And now they're educated, and guess what? They might tell you to fuck off. And fantastic. You're better off without them, I promise you. right?
Oh yes. Oh, you don't want to deal with that. I'm like, that's fine. Go get somebody cheaper down the street. And when they mess it up, you're like, crap, I got to fork out the money. Now you just paid double and triple.
Yeah.
Like,
So that's yeah. So and so I think about like the automation thing. I got my furnace replaced a couple years ago now, and the company that I was using sent me like an automated email when I booked the appointment. I confirmed it. It's like, hey, we appreciate you using such and such HVAC. I'm not going to plug them unless y'all want to pay me. No, I'm just kidding. It was Emerald HVAC, and they came in and they swapped out the old unit, and it was great. But as soon as I set that appointment, within like 15 minutes, I got a text message link, and I clicked the link. These people are curious, and it's like, meet Colin. Colin's your technician. There was a little blurb, and there was a video. So I played the video, and he talks about how he's been with the company for 7 years. Don't worry about your furry friends because I love dogs. I've got 2 dogs of my own. It was very personal. And, like, you have to understand that there's going to be varying levels of comfortability when someone's bringing a stranger into their house. Right? So let's assume people are going to be very uncomfortable, because if they're comfortable, we stand to lose nothing. But if they're uncomfortable and we don't make them feel comfortable, we stand to lose a lot, right? So everything to gain, nothing to lose. Let's cater to that. Let's give them some personalized intros to talk about who it is, this strange man or woman that's going to come sell them a roof, who's going to sit at the kitchen table. Build a rapport.
Yep.
It made me feel super good. Right? And I bought from them, and I don't know how much of an impact that made in my buying decision, but they did it, and I bought from them, and it did make me feel good when I was watching it. I can say that as an absolute fact.
yeah.
So if there's 10 different things you can do 10 different things to make somebody feel comfortable in their choice of choosing you to buy from.
Yeah, and a lot of that, if you put the the setup work in it on the automation side, like you don't have to do a whole lot, right?
Right.
Take your phone, put it in cinematic mode or whatever, shoot a nice video standing there, get a decent mic for $200, $150, whatever, and then shoot the quick video. And the more authentic and real it is, have them do a selfie video. Hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm coming out. They're on social media every day. It'll feel like social media. It'll feel more trusting.
Right.
Put that in there. Like, you just got to think about, these are the little things you can do in your business to optimize and tweak. Of course, that is if you're at that level. If you're starting out, obviously you're in a different ball game. You're not thinking about all this stuff. But when you're really optimizing those things, and I'm going to always bring it back to content. What can you do to educate and help? What are the things you can do before you even get to the point of sale to make it that much easier? Make it much easier for them and make them want to be like, you know what, let's just go with you. I'm going to pay more money. Let's go with you.
Why would somebody choose Presto Media?
I practice what I preach. What I'm asking you to do, I do it every day. And there's nobody else that I know of in the contracting space that's going to help you transform and reach audiences the way I can. So we're going to. I'm trying to make them the hero for a moment. I'm thinking about my messaging. So if you see yourself as a company that wants to build a brand on social media, you just need simple guidance. That's all you need. You know you need to do it. You know it requires video. You know it requires some research. You know it requires engaging. You know it requires investment. You know all of these things already, but you need somebody to actually help you implement it. And somebody who does it themselves in their own content. That's what makes Presto Media different. And we're only focused on content. So we're not going to sit here and sell you on ads and stuff. But I'm going to leave that. Our sole focus content is content and building a brand that way. So we're not going to teach you how to do ads. We're not going to teach you how to do Google SEO. We're not going to do that. We're not going to sell you on those services. I don't want to. We specialize just that, and we focus on just contractors.
For someone who's not creating video content, what's that first step that they should take today?
Figure out, I always go back to the frequently asked questions. What do you ask the most? Why people won't buy from you, or whatever rejections you get. Create 10 selfie videos and then don't ever post them. Create 10 selfie videos and then don't ever post them. Then give yourself, go back and watch them for about a month. You'll get comfortable with them. You'll be okay with them. Then post, and then forget about it. Don't even look at it. Don't even look at it. Don't even look what the engagement is. Oh, if somebody comments, says, hey, I want to maybe engage back, but like, don't even look at the likes or comments.
Where should they post them?
Go hard for contractors, go hard on Facebook and Instagram. I know TJ is going to yell at me and be like, you should be on TikTok, but you shouldn't be on TikTok if you're not comfortable with video. Like, if you can't rock out video after video after video and you're not comfortable with it, stay away from TikTok. You don't need it. Facebook, Instagram. Joe Hughes will agree with this. I think he tells his clients the same thing. Go hard on those two platforms. Go deep, go wide. And when you can master those and you're really good at video, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, start diving into TikTok.
What's one application that contractors can use that can help make their content better or easier?
They know it's their business. They know how to market it. They know what people are asking. So doing the research part shouldn't be there. It really, the one piece of equipment, whatever they need, that's what you asked, right? One tool. Right here. That's all you need. I mean, really is it. You can do your posts. You can do everything from here. If you're one man in a truck and you're putting up roofs, you can do everything from here. Get you an iPhone. I say iPhone, dude. You're just not going to beat it. So get you an iPhone. Make it a company phone. I don't care. Get your company cam if you need to. But start taking photos before, during, and after, and take videos before, during, after. That's what you need.
Yeah, and I'll drop a few things that I found helpful in creating our content, creating our thumbnails for like YouTube content, and Google Drive. Simple, it's free up to a certain point. If you're running a company and you got a couple people that you want to share the videos or the photos with, create a drive in Google. You can Google how to create a Google Drive. It's very simple. And then you just upload from your phone, right click, share. There's a little person with a plus button next to them. You can add them. You add their email. Now everybody can access all that information no matter where the fuck they are, right? Through the cloud. So that's very helpful. Canva, Canva. Like, are you fucking kidding me with how simple they make? I mean, they've got 1 billion templates. I think it's $10 a month. I mean, you can upload your photo. Like, you can take a photo of me like this and just pull the background right off it. So it's just my stupid pose with nothing in the background. And then you can drag that into a template. And next thing you know, it's me like this on top of Mount Everest. It's fucking wild. Super simple. WeTransfer. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to go back to the Canva for a second. I literally, anything that's overlaid on mine is all come from Canva. It is so stupid easy. And what's funny is I took a picture of you. You probably didn't see it. It was one of my longer form videos. So now you're going to have to go back and watch my longer form videos. I took a picture of you in your spacesuit. It's in there. And I pulled it out. So I took it from the internet. I stole it from your Facebook, sorry. I put it in Canva. I removed the background, and I re-downloaded it without a transparent background, and I had it all done within a minute. Yeah. You're right. Canva is such a powerful tool. It's $15 a month if you get the Pro plan, which I say just go ahead and get it. $15.
Yeah.
And same thing with Google. Like, you can get 200 gigs for like $2 a month. So get those two things. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. But Canva is absolutely
amazing.
You're
good.
I use it for all of my editing because it's $15 a month. Like, why would you not? But keep going. WeTransfer.
Yeah, WeTransfer. I mean, you can. The problem with like a Google Drive, like if I'm uploading a video that's an hour and a half long, that shit takes a lot of time. And I've found through my personal experience, sometimes it stops in the middle of it, and you just lose the progress that you made. You got to re-upload it. And I've had big videos that I've spent a day trying to upload that have stopped like 3 times. What I found was with WeTransfer, it compresses the shit out of it to where your upload and download time are significantly less, so you can get your content to your editor much more quickly. Because that's what happens is, you have a camera, it has an SD card, they're videoing shit if you're using a camera, let's say. Even if you're not, if you're using your phone and they record a 30-minute clip, it's going to take a while to transfer that. WeTransfer is super simple. you literally put in your email, hit upload, select the file, it compresses it, sends it. I think it's $10 a month. I mean, I know we're breaking the bank here. Make sure you click the affiliate link below. I'm kidding. I'm not paid by them, and this is not sponsored content. I'm just trying to pour as much value on as possible. What else? Do you have any other apps that you use in content that you think would be easy and helpful?
Yeah, if you're doing video and you just need a free app, the most like if you're like, all right, I got the time, or I can teach a college kid or whatever, like you talked about in your content the other day, finding somebody local to come in and help you with content, and whether it be a college kid, use CapCut to edit videos because it's user friendly for TikTok. It's built for TikTok, but still, all your reels and videos are going to come out that way. So I would say CapCut is probably one of the best, most user-friendly, free, absolutely free, can do everything you want as far as video is concerned. So I don't use it. I use a Premiere Pro just because it's more advanced and I could do more with it. But I would say CapCut would be the other thing I would use. But I need to use WeTransfer, by the way. I'm glad you said that because I transfer from my phone. I airdrop it into my computer, but now I don't share it with anybody right now. So, but when I'm ready to share it, and I'm almost there to hiring a video editor, but when I do that, WeTransfer I'm getting.
Yeah, an airdrop is great, guys. If you have a Mac and you have an iPhone, like that's typically what I do as well. I'll take it from my phone, just airdrop that shit right there, and then if I've got to send it out, send it via WeTransfer. Easy peasy.
Yes.
So, dude, I'm incredibly grateful for you taking some time spontaneously with me the day after Thanksgiving. I'm grateful for that. Thank you, among many other things. If somebody, if people have questions or they decide that you're the guy for them and they want to come aboard Presto Media, what's the best way for them to do that?
Right now, just send me a message on Facebook. You can follow my profile. The easiest thing is to send me a message on Facebook or hit a comment on there. That's the fastest way to get a hold of me. You can go to my website and stuff, but you're gonna get lost there. Don't get lost on my website. It's just send me a message. You can see all my content on there, and and we'll have a conversation. My sales process is, why do you want to do content? Like, I want to know why you want to do it, because I want to understand what's your thought process and what are your expectations behind it. So you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to generate leads immediately. Like, that's not the purpose of it. And so I set those expectations ahead of time that, like, hey, look, some people will get leads right out of the gate. They just do. It just happens to be that way. But the expectation is you're looking at this as a way to build a brand online. And so I make sure that we set those expectations up front. And then I just ask you, like, I want to make an understanding of what is your brand. Have you even considered what your brand is? What is your voice like? I want to get into those questions, and then I want to figure out how comfortable you are with video. While I have packages that don't include video, but I need pictures of you and your team. So you have to be willing to do X, Y, Z, because I can't be there to shoot photos for you, but I'll give you everything you need to do it. And so when you get on a call with me, those are the expectations I set. And then if I'm like, hey, you're not willing to do these things, you're going to pay me money and you're not going to see any type of results. And I'm not going to be able to put out really good content for you with stock photos. Like, that's not going to work. So be willing to put the conversation is geared around all those things. What are their expectations of you, expectations of me, and then understanding what's the purpose of the content, what are their goals.
So you heard it here first, folks. Presto Media. If you need 20 to 30 leads this week, hit them up. Jordan's going to get you there. Again, I appreciate you, brother. And with that being said, we gone.